Hey everybody, it's Bree at Mile Markers. I am super excited to be here today with Tia, our brand new speech language pathologist, the newest member of the Mile Markers therapy team. And we wanted to take some time today to get to know Tia a little bit and talk about the benefits of teletherapy. So welcome, Tia. Can you
Hi, you
tell
guys.
me a little bit about yourself? Maybe something fun about you and why you became a speech therapist.
Yeah, so my name is Tiara Toggett. I actually live in Utah, so I'm providing all my services through teletherapy currently. Um, and something fun about me, I play volleyball. I love being in the sun, although I think where you guys are at might be a little too hot for me, probably too hot to play volleyball outside. So I spend a lot of time playing volleyball, outside hiking. Um, yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I married a man from Yap. That's an island in Micronesia. So in the summertime, we also go to fire dances. He fire dances. Um, and I like to go see his performances and then I nurse his burns after. We have two little boys. I have a 2-year-old named Moa and a 3-month-old named Mali. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. And
Awesome.
I really got into speech therapy just kind of by divine intervention, I guess. I was going to go into psychology. Um, and then I didn't want to get a master's degree. And so I was like, oh, I'll do speech therapy. And they didn't tell us until like my last semester of my bachelor's degree that you have to have a master's. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go to grad school. It's fine. But I found myself just kind of being led up to go talk to my professors about what I needed to do to get a letter of recommendation. Um, I went through the whole application process and I really still didn't think I was going to go. And then I got my acceptance letter and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to grad school. Okay, we're doing this. And I've loved every minute of it since. And then when I was in grad school, I my nephew was diagnosed with autism. So I just jumped into learning everything I could about autism. I took all of the clients with autism diagnoses that I could. I did a externship at a school that's specifically for kids with autism. They take some other diagnoses as well, but it was mainly started for kids with autism. And then my time in the school district, I requested to be in classrooms where there was lots of kiddos with autism. And I fell in love with that population. I've worked with a variety. I've worked with Down syndrome. I've worked with speech disorders, language disorders, um, grammar, augmentative communication devices. But autism is definitely my specialty and my area of emphasis. So that's how I got into my specialty as well as speech language pathology.
Very cool. Well, we're just so excited to have you as part of Mile Markers team. And yeah, so far it's been super fun. You're our very first virtual therapist. So many scary things happened within the COVID-19 pandemic. But one of the things that did happen that was great was the state of Arizona permanently wrote into law the provision of all therapy services via virtual means such as Zoom and teletherapy. So it's such a blessing to so many families who, might have difficulty accessing in clinic based therapy services. So we're thankful for that and thankful to have you. So many families felt very thrust into teletherapy and teleeducation in their classroom very unexpectedly as a result of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a misconception sometimes that teletherapy and teleeducation is like a second best option. So, if I can't get in-person therapy, I guess I'll have teletherapy. And I think what many families don't understand is that teletherapy and virtual service provision was a thing well before COVID, and that it's actually very well established and well researched, and it's an excellent treatment method for many different populations, including children with a variety of developmental disabilities. So, can you talk to me a little bit about what you see the benefits of teletherapy to be?
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, I was right there along with those families that felt like it was second best. I would always get letters in the mail about, hey, why don't you do your doctor's appointment via telehealth, or, different things like that. And I was right there along with them thinking, oh, this is the second best option. And then when COVID happened, I also was thrust into teletherapy. I had never done it before. And one day we were all in person. And then the next day we got an email saying, hey, guess what, guys? We're shutting our clinic down. We're going teletherapy. Come pick up your tech tomorrow. And for a little while, I kind of felt that same way, like, oh, well, we're just kind of surviving. We're doing what we have to. But I've now been doing it for a little over a year, and I fell in love with it. I have fallen in love with teletherapy. Um, I think it's an amazing way to work on generalizing skills. I can't tell you how many kids could say their S's correctly or use complete sentences while they were in my little speech room, and then they left the room and it was like those skills were gone. And I had parents tell me the same thing. They're not using these skills at home. How and I would try to, send home activities, practices, whatever, but there was just a disconnect. And with teletherapy, I have found that it's actually helping that generalization piece, because now kids aren't just in my little speech room, they're practicing speech in their own bedrooms. So, just being in a different context where I can say, hey, let's practice outside today. Let's take your iPad, your phone outside. Let's practice using your skills outside. Um, just getting in those different locations that are in their natural environment has been huge in that generalization piece. I've also seen a significant increase in them practicing at home. Oftentimes, in person is so great. I'm not gonna bash on in person, because I also love in person. So I will never bash on that. But when I was in person, I often would take the child back, and then I'd have a few minutes to talk to the parents about, hey, can you practice this skill at home? Practice it in this way. Good luck, do your best. um, Now, though, with teletherapy, oftentimes I'm able to counsel with the caregiver for 10, 20 minutes, and sometimes we can even practice their home plan during our session. So in the beginning, I might say, hey, let's practice this week. And if the caregiver doesn't totally understand what I'm having them do, we can practice exactly what I want them to practice throughout the week right then, because they're in the home. I've been able to see kind of how the home runs, so their home routines, and figure out ways for them to practice that are not just an extra thing on their to-do list. So I've been able to find more meaningful ways for them to practice at home that doesn't just feel like another thing for them to do. And so then that also kind of leads into um, I've been able to help parents understand the goals a little bit better. Some parents that I had worked with previously had mentioned that they felt kind of disconnected from the plan of care and didn't totally understand the goals, or how that even fit into how their goals fit into their daily communication with their child. And
Mhm.
so I've been able to see where those breakdowns are between me educating the parents as a provider, and their understanding as a caregiver. And I've been able to bridge those gaps because of teletherapy.
Mhm. That's excellent. I can't tell you how many families I've recently interacted with, some of whom actually are already on your caseload, who say to
Mm-hmm.
me, I was so nervous to start teletherapy. I really didn't want to. I was thinking it was just going to be, like we said, the second best option. But just recently, I had a conversation with a parent who you've been seeing actually. And the mom said to me, it is so amazing to have the opportunity to be the therapist. You're
Mm-hmm.
guiding these parents to learn how to do the interventions on their own, so that the 1 hour a week that you spend with them, that's great. But it's the other 24 hours to 23 hours a day 7 days a week, that the parents have learned the skills and the strategies that you're presenting to them, and they're able to carry that over. So in fact, one of the parents I just spoke with recently, they said to me, I'm seeing more progress in such a short period of time because I myself am learning the strategies. And that kind of leads into my next question, which is about the parent coaching model. With teletherapy, really it's coaching the family or the caregiver or the parent on how to be the best support they can to their child or to their clients. So can you just talk a little bit about maybe why you think the parent coaching model can be so successful and why parents like that?
Yeah, well, kind of like what you just said is now the parents are getting education on how to help their child those other 23 hours a day. If their child is only working on their communication skills for that 1 hour and then they're not getting support after that, it's going to be very slow progress. So I'm right there along with the parents. I've seen much more progress and significantly faster progress for some of my kiddos because they're now able to get that support while they're at home, while they're at the park, while they're at the grocery store, while they're driving from place to place. Those are the types of activities that I'm having parents practice. I'm not just sending home lists for them to say over and over, or, sending home an activity where they have to make an extra half hour, sit down, do speech with their child. We're problem solving together. Hey, what routines do you have throughout your day? Okay, you've got bath time, you've got dinner time. These are things that have to happen anyway. You have to drive around to various errands with your child. Those are things that happen anyway. This is how you can communicate with your child so that you can practice his or her communication skills just throughout your day. So I find that it's more effective because parents now have the education, but it's also been less stressful for parents because we're finding ways to practice their communication skills during things that they're already doing. Yeah. So that it's not just another thing to check off on their list. It's also creating a routine for their child so their child can see the importance of using their communication skills all the time and not just during that 1 hour of speech. So it goes both ways. This parent coaching model, they're not just, the child isn't just seeing, oh, I have to use my communication skills because I'm with Miss T and that's what's expected. They're going, oh, okay, mom and dad are on board with this too. They're having me use my skills all the time. I'm starting to see more of the importance of it. And with the parent coaching model, there has not been any child or client that I have not been able to adapt teletherapy to. In the beginning of COVID, when we were all thrust into teletherapy, I had some nonverbal clients. I had clients with struggles with joint attention, and it's not effective for me to try to get them to engage with me over the computer. And so with the parent coaching model, we were able to adapt to any child, any client, because the caregiver was there on board being part of the session. And I was just there as a coach. I was coaching them how to do what I would be doing in person.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've heard so many great things about that. And that was my next question, which we've kind of just reviewed, is oftentimes when we offer teletherapy to a family, the first thing that we hear is, oh, I'm not sure. I don't think my child will attend. We tried teletherapy or we tried teleeducation at the beginning of COVID. They would not look at the iPad. They wouldn't look at the technology. They don't have the attention span for that. So I'm happy to hear you say that you feel confident making this model work for just about anyone.
Oh, absolutely. I would say even super young kiddos. I've worked with 18 months, 2-year-olds via teletherapy. Now, I'm not having them engaging with me, talking with me on the computer. It's very much me coaching their caregiver, and mom gets to just sit and play. I tell parents often when we're first starting, hey, just set this up as if you were going to be playing with your child. Set up just a typical activity, what they're interested in a place that you would normally play. And then the only thing that's different is you have the iPad or the phone right there, and I'm coaching you to do, certain things or find opportunities for communication. That's the only thing that's different. Um, so there's no power struggle of sit down, look at the camera, sit down, look at the camera.
Right.
No, there's not any of that. And I think that is one of the misconceptions as well. And so I often will set it up with my parents that that's not the expectation. I'm not expecting them to sit and look at the computer, look at me. Some kiddos can tolerate that. And some kiddos, that's really helpful for the types of goals we're working on. But if they
Mhm.
can't tolerate that, there's no reason why we have to use that model of direct contact between me and the client.
Mhm.
Um, the parent coaching model has been amazing.
Yeah. That's super, super cool to hear. And like I said, I've talked to several of the families that you've recently been working with, and they all across the board are amazed at, wow, this really works. Wow, I didn't think that we would be able to do this, but holy cow, this is better. I love this. So we've gotten such great feedback. And yeah, I can't tell you how happy the families that you have been working with have said that they are just since starting, this model. So
Yay!
I was
I'm
going to
happy to
ask
hear
too.
that.
Yeah. So I was going to ask too. I know that it's not always sitting and talking to a screen and interacting directly with you, but like you said, in many cases it might be. Are there any like fun activities or fun, like just give us an example maybe of something that you would do via teletherapy with a child who could sit and attend and do an activity with you over the computer?
Okay, let me pull it up really quick. I have it right here. Let me just pull it up. So this is one of the things that I can use for pretty much any goal. And this is usually for a child that is more willing to attend. So it's just a really simple game board. So we could use this for articulation therapy, so saying words, sentences, those kinds of things. I've also used it for social skills. I've used it for grammar, complete sentences type things. So I let the child choose their color, and then I choose my color. If mom wants to be involved, she can choose a color, dad, caregiver, teacher, whoever is with them helping. Um, so they can choose a color as well. So these things they just move, and it's just a simple game board. It is all this is. So that's one of my go-tos.
Very
Um,
cool.
and I can really work on any goal. I have lots of flashcards that I can use as well. Lots of different games and activities to facilitate conversation. Lots of different things that are possible to be able to use.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to kind of answer our
Yeah.
questions, introduce yourselves to our families. Um, we're just so very excited to have you and to have this opportunity to offer the parent coaching model and to offer our virtual services to our families. Everybody, Tia does have openings within her schedule.
Yes, I
So
do.
please reach out to our office. Our Lake Havasu City office phone number is 928 854-5439. Reach out, talk to Annie at the front desk, see if this might be a great model for your child. If you have some speech and language concerns, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Um, Thank you so much, Tia.
You're welcome. I look forward to working with some of your clients down there in Lake Havasu City.
All right. Thank you, Tia. Bye, everybody.